Whenever you're ready.
Whenever you're ready. In a modern forward-thinking company, it's really important to keep equality at the foundation of your HR strategy. Knowing PTP's a very modern forward-thinking company, achieving awards in social conscientiousness and other awards of the such, it is clear that these sorts of strategies are important to your company. Now, at Purpose, we identify equality as equal opportunity. And equal opportunities are really seen when an employee gets promoted, when an employee gets hired, and how an employee is treated within the company. And we believe that true equality is found in unbiased decision-making HR practices that make your employees feel that they are judged based on their merit, based on how they perform in the company, and not who they know, who their family members are, and other things of that such. And that is why today we have identified your key issue as how PTP can establish an unbiased retention and promotions process going forward. Now, looking at the secondary issues, the reason this issue has come about today is because we have seen a need to create a unified culture. We have an effective company-wide communication system that needs to take place so that each member is felt valued and felt that their merit is being taken into consideration every step of the way. Furthermore, the issue of retention of women came up, and that is a clear understanding that there are social trends, and these trends need to be addressed and need to be handled in the most cost-effective way so that every employee feels that they are equally attained to. Now, our recommendation will carry you through this development of a non-biased HR software system, which will help each and every employee be properly assessed and properly identified for promotion in order so that they can get the best out of the company, and the company can get the best out of them. This impact, you'll clearly see, is properly trained talent being promoted, as well as the most motivated, your top talent, and the most equal talent being promoted throughout the company. Now, coming into the company analysis, we looked internal first in order to identify where your company currently stands. We looked at the current systems integrations knowledge, which has a clear understanding of EPR systems. What does this mean for your company? It means that you can leverage this technology in order to address and assess your current employees. Furthermore, the autonomous work environment is not only important as an element of job satisfaction, but it's very important going forward because employees are excited to be working at your job. Employees are excited to be working hand in hand with clients, and that is so important going forward as far as recruitment purposes are pertaining to. And training programs. You train both your employees very well and integrate them in an onboarding process, but you also train your management to handle gender equality and those types of issues very, very carefully in order to make sure every employee is felt they're handled properly. This is an extremely good strength as far as all of your employee satisfaction goes, and we at Purpose just want to say good job. Now, furthermore, some challenges that you're facing. There's a male-dominated industry in the tech industry, and at PTP you recognize this, and further helping women reach a more equal opportunity within the workplace. There have been steps taken forward, but we believe we can be better just because of the nature of the industry. Further challenges that you have to face is as a decentralized company, you have that company culture issue of feeling really unified and really part of the company. Your onboarding process is only 2 days for employees to understand the background of your company, which is a little bit short, and really those senior level management and senior associates are the ones driving your culture forward, and we at Purpose identify this. Also, work-life balance. Work-life balance is a challenge with any sort of tech-related company because you're doing a lot of on-site training, a lot of on-site work, and a lot of on-site duties that pertain, you lose a weekend day, and that's really detrimental to some people, trying to find that proper balance. Now, moving to external opportunities and trends, I would like to direct your screen here to the 3 trends that we've identified going forward. We see technology, social, and the industry. So technology trends. Your company is very strong at learning the trends of technology, developing those trends within companies, and understanding where those trends are going. We feel that it is important to leverage this knowledge of technological trends within your company to further bolster and innovate your HR practices. Now, social trends. Diversity in the workplace is a current social trend, but don't forget that diversity does not just mean men and women. Non-binary gender associations are really growing, and we can't just neglect the fact that a trend does rise and fall, and responding to trends is volatile. We have to understand that as trends fall and rise, your company can be spending money just to adapt. That's why the plan needs to be unbiased and unaffected by changing trends. Now the industry. Currently within the industry, there's a lack of female participation, and we at Purpose HR have identified that we can change the industry using PTP as a conduit, as a company that not only bolsters more women within the industry, but more women within the University of IT, of computer science, and that's really where the value will be found, and you can't change that just by changing your company's HR practices. Now, going forward, we have a few alternatives for your company today, and these are the guiding principles that we predicated all of those decisions based off of. First of all, sustainability. Sustainable practices are really important when coming to HR because, again, those trends and the volatility of said trends. Perception is very important because your company is a big company, and not only perceptions of your internal employees on how they're valued and how they're weighed and how their performance is graded, but also an external perception. How does your company handle these sorts of changing trends? Quality employees. As at the end of the day, your company does have to handle clients and does have to service clients to the best of your ability, so quality employees is a very key consideration. And of course, cost effectiveness. Throwing money at a problem is always the most gut reaction, gut feeling when we see a problem arise. Let's throw some money at it and let's solve it as quick as possible. But we need to do proper analysis of problems and handle them in the most cost-effective way. It is now this time I'd like to invite Megan, and she'll run you through our alternatives that we prepared for you today.
So keeping in mind these four guiding principles, I'd like to run you through three different viable alternatives my team and I at Purpose Consulting have come up with. So starting off with our alternative number one, this is empowering women in the IT industry. So this is an alternative that you have presented us with today. So what this means is hiring more women in order to eventually see more women promoted in top management by hiring 70% women and 30% men. So this could look like going to universities and getting more women involved in the IT and getting them involved in this industry and this degree. Which is going to happen, and it's going to increase our pool of candidates that you can choose from for hiring these more women. And then there's going to be more women eligible for these promotions. However, there are a few cons to this. They might not be fit for your company. Just hiring women over men who has more of a, who is a more qualified candidate, that could throw off your company and overall negatively impact it. Negative perception. If I'm maybe being hired from a job just because I'm a woman, I don't feel as valued as I want to be hired because I'm the most qualified candidate. So this could lead to a more negative perception of your company. As well, having an unfit workforce and a negative perception is going to lead to higher turnover, and that's not going to be very cost effective in the long run. As well as Mario was mentioning, this trend towards women in the workplace is right now. Tomorrow it could be another visible minority, and you have to be able to adapt to this. Just hiring more women right now is not going to be very adaptable long term. Our second alternative is redefining job positions. So what this looks like is redefining these by creating more of a work-life balance in order to appeal to more women. So this looks like job sharing. Maybe 2 or 3 people take on a project. So this is positive because it's going to be more flexible for them, and they're going to appreciate and value this more. And as well as you can hire more people to have this better fit for the company. However, there are a few downfalls. They're not going to have as much autonomy in the workplace, and they might not have the same close client relationships if there's a few people handling the same project instead of the one person doing this job. There may be miscommunications or other things that they just don't realize as one person doing it might be more practical. Lastly, I want to talk to you about the non-biased software. So what this software does is it's going to track employee performance by using qualitative and quantitative measures in order to figure out who is best fit for this promotion. So this is going to be much more accurate than just managers doing this review themselves, because there's always bias in managers' review. Even if they try and be unbiased, this happens all the time just from human perception of things. So it does not guarantee equality, which is the one con. However, it is going to be able to be tracked online, and it's going to ensure quality of applicants because you're not only looking at just the quantitative side of things, how well they're doing for the company, but also how well they get along with each other, how well they work have a chance to provide feedback on their experience as well. And it's going to be sustainable long term because it is going to be adaptable not only to women in the workplace being properly promoted, but to any visible minority. So just re-looking at this decision matrix that we created, it is clear that our non-biased software hits every single decision criteria that we had come up with and all of our guiding principles. It is cost effective. You're going to ensure a high quality of employees. There's going to be a positive perception of your company because it is going to be adaptable and you're not hiring just one sort of minority. And as well, it is going to be sustainable long term. And from now on, my team and I would like to present to you and call this plan the PTP Performance Promotion Plan. And now Cassie is going to go over exactly how this plan is going to work.
So as you can see here, this implementation consists of 4 phases. I'm going to walk you through them. So the first phase in the immediate term, in this phase is the time to gather as much feedback as possible. You want to be talking to people at all levels, from associates to partners, to just generate knowledge and determine what factors need to be considered with regards to promotions. So that's going to include performance, attendance, co-worker feedback, and also manager feedback. We're also going to, we recommend to focus approximately 60% qualitative and 40% quantitative because you work with customers a lot. So you want to ensure that you're getting candidates that work well with their peers and work well with customers because it's also about a lot of team development as well. In the short term now, this is the development phase. So this will take, will begin approximately in 7 to 12. And you're going to want to start by creating a team. So your HR representatives have gathered some information. But at this point, you want those representatives to work with some of the IT employees to start creating the software. This software is going to generate a pool of candidates. It's not going to give you one specific candidate. It's going to give you 2 or 3 for you to choose from, and it's going to give you the candidates that are going to be best suited for this promotion based on performance and other metrics. In this phase, you're also going to want to tweak your hiring processes a little bit. So at this point, you're going to want to, when you hire an employee, you want to make sure you're gathering the appropriate information. So this will involve more extensive background checks. So for example, you would talk to their previous employer and get questions that you can input in. You ask them questions, and those answers will be inputted as data into the software that will help make these decisions. We recommend that you also go to their coworkers, so you don't only want the information from their managers, you want information from their coworkers, so ask them for coworker references as well as personal references, because you want to gather as much information as possible so that you have as much data as possible so you can get the most accurate results. Employees who have been at your company for a longer period of time, you'll have more information on already. So by getting more information when you're hiring these new employees, they'll be on a more level playing field as far as the software goes. So for the next phase, the medium term, this is the input and training phase. In this phase, it consists of the data input, training, and then of course the launch of the software. So in this phase, it is going to take some time to input the vast amount of data that you will be collecting. It will take a lot of time to input all of the data on all of the employees that you already have. So some of this data will include, like I previously mentioned, attendance records, performance records, as well as reviews from their coworkers and clients as well. Also, you're going to need to train those who are going to be inputting this data on an ongoing basis on the software. So these people are most likely going to be your HR personnel or the managers who are doing the promoting and the engineering in that process. So in this phase, you need to take the time to ensure that they understand how to work the software and how it's going to work so that they're able to communicate that to the rest of the employees in the company so that everyone understands exactly how the software is going to work. And then finally, at the end of this phase, the software should be ready for a soft launch. Of course, there's going to be so much information and data. You want to be prepared to go back and to make some changes if necessary. We which brings us to our long term. So in this long term is the feedback and review phase. So at this point, we need to assess. So we need to assess the quality of the employees that this software is generating. So if this software is generating 3 employees that it suggests who you do not feel would be anywhere near the top employees that you would have suggested for the promotion, this is the time that you would review the software and make any changes that might be necessary. We also recommend, and this is up for your company to make a decision, however, we feel that this is a very valuable technology, and with technology becoming so more prominent in our lives, this technology could become very valuable to other companies as well, and may be very valuable to your clients. So by going with this implementation, you now have the option to sell this technology to your clients, and then they can enhance their performance as well. So some key success factors that this plan is working towards. We want to ensure that we receive a 50-50 gender equality in that top management by 2023. And by removing the unconscious biases that all humans do on a regular basis, this should ensure that those who have the most talent are getting good promotions. This implementation is also going to increase the company transparency. It is, I did mention before that it needs to be communicated to all employees how this technology works to ensure that they understand the fairness of it. It's going to be based on performance and other things like I mentioned, and not on personal relationships and backgrounds of your families and how your employees manage. I'm now going to pass it over back to Mario to go over the financials.
Looking at the financials of our plan that we were trying to implement here, it's important to note that there's going to have to be a few things that are going to be put into place. First of all, a development team. You can't just have any of your employees developing this. You have to have a cross-functional team of both your IT and your HR. So that development team right there, we budgeted $75,600 for that development team. Now, for the software implementation, with the inputs of this software and putting the software actually into practice, there's going to be an implementation cost there. And these implementation costs are conservative, but they do also promote any sort of revision that's going to have to be happening, or any sort of inputs, again, that are going to be taking place. Finally, training. With any sort of plan that you implement, you're going to have to train an employee on how to use what you've implemented. When including technology, this implementation and training is so important. So we also have a budget here for the training to bring the total, as you can see there. It is important to understand the budget of this plan is so important because it not only has a great influence on turnover of your company, which will save you money in the long run, but it will also save you money from responding to trends haphazardly as they do arise. Now, going forward to the risks of the plan. We understand that with implementing technology, there can be, the software only recommends males. There's input errors, or there's even employee resistance at something that is changing now how they are assessed and now eligible for promotion. So for the software, if it's only recommending males, there's some things you can do, right? If you have proper development programs in place within your company to develop the employees to their best ability, we are now understanding that men and women on equal playing fields are going to be promoted at an equal rate. But further moving forward, what if this doesn't happen? It is a male-dominated industry. We could see more males still persist. Well, we have to go into targeting those women that we're seeing maybe aren't responding as well as we thought to the trends, and then targeting a little bit of extra training towards them. What this software allows you to do is seeing the trends of their development. How are they responding in the work environment, and how are they now eligible to be helped in a more effective and cost-effective way. Moving on to input error. If you're ever inputting any sort of data into the company, we have to consider that input error could happen. Proper communication and input training is necessary, and that's why we've accounted for it in the budget. Furthermore, creating precision maybe to merge that data for you instead in order to handle it in one spot could reduce this as a mitigation. And employee resistance. The director and senior management has to be involved in the change so heavily. Furthermore, communicating the benefits of this program is going to be the most key. Now, coming back to a summary of what we've actually gone over today. We know that PTP is a forward-thinking company driven by innovation and driven by technology. Here at Purpose Consulting, we have aligned your technology and your thirst for innovation into a plan that not only bolsters your HR practices and strategies, but ensures that you will be able to respond to any trend that comes your way in the next 5, 10, and 20 years. Thank you very much, and we'll now open the floor to any sort of questions you may have about our plan.
We will now commence with a 5-minute Q&A period.
You catered a solution on the fact that we may have submissions of emotions. What about women that are just leaving the company? How do we address that? Why they're leaving the company at this time?
Now, when a woman's leaving the company, it's really important to get accurate data on that exit interview. So an exit interview gives you tons of data why an employee may be leaving, and especially interviewing those women, asking some key questions. Is it family related? Is it a work-life balance issue? Because then it can lead you into where you want to structure your changes that way. But if it's a bias issue, that's what this plan really hinders on, and that's what this plan really helps you solve in that case. So yeah, exit interview, 100% key in that.
If your key issue is, or your key goal is an unbiased retention and promotion process, not simply achieving the 50-50 gender equity ratio, what are your KPIs look like?
Yeah, sure. So we identified that we just really want to increase this communication because, as you told us, that a big problem could be because of the bias that women aren't getting properly promoted. So by switching out the promotion, we believe that 50-50 will come, and if not, we're plan on targeting more training practices towards women.
I wanted to circle back on the exit interviews that you mentioned. And so, using those exit interviews, information on those interviews, what kind of retention strategy would you have to retain women in the organization?
Great. So by collecting that data from those exit interviews, we can actually use that into our software to determine what exactly are the issues. So by collecting that data to determine exactly what has gone wrong, can you repeat the question?
What kind of retention strategy would you have for women through those exit interviews?
Through using the exit interviews.
Yeah.
Great, so absolutely. So as Mario mentioned, by understanding exactly why these women are leaving, we can make the changes with the software. So if people are perhaps feeling that those people getting those promotions aren't deserving of it, we can adjust the software. If they feel that people who are getting those promotions aren't being the leaders that are needed within your company, you can tweak the software so that the best fit for the positions available to make everyone at the company remain happy with their job and their needs.
Can you go back one slide, please? Thank you. So I was wondering, are these prevention and mitigation strategies mutually exclusive to the software?
I'd say if you're considering mutually exclusive, as in one has to happen with the software, and then like you can't put these in place regardless of said software. No, I'd say like if you're looking at the software, let's say it's only recommending males. In any sort of case, if your promotions are if that's what I'm kind of on the right track of, if you're only promoting males and you're seeing this trend regardless of software or not, can you implement these? You can develop development programs regardless of the software 100%, but the thing is there's no guidance. So whenever you're doing any sort of reparations with regards to hiring practices now, if you don't have any guidance, you're now wasting time trying to figure out which direction to take, and that's what this program helps you achieve.
So this software, to confirm, is going to be created in-house?
Yes.
So where are you going to pull these employees from? Are you going to hire new employees, or are you going to pull people from other projects that you're currently working on? How are you going to staff this team?
Yeah, so we intend to have this project done in-house. We feel like that's the best way to reduce the cost and have this thing be as most cost-effective as possible. To determine exactly how soon we want to do this project will be up to your company. We do feel like this is a pressing issue. We've determined that you find this very important to your organization to have that equality. So it will be up for your company to determine the priority of it. However, we feel that in the long run it's going to generate more revenue and more projects for your company.
Thank you very much for your presentation.